Jordan Love is back. Will he be enough to lift the Packers over Caleb and the Bears in round 3?
When you're a double-digit favorite on Wild Card Weekend, you should be able to handle business, right? Don't tell that to Carolina in a close one against the Rams.
Wild Card Weekend is here. The NFL playoffs are here. We're going over Saturday on Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee.
Oh, Rams. You figure first, what have to give the Rams and Carolina credit. First game of Wild Card Weekend, great. Might have been one of the best games of the year. Might have been one of the best games of the year, no doubt. But you think that the Rams would have been able to handle business right off the bat, right off the rip. Carolina makes it fun and starts off the weekend with a narrow escape. The Rams do.
Yeah, we'll definitely deep dive on it. But I mean, I kind of got to tip my cap to the Panthers a little bit in the loss. I mean, that wasn't. I was fully expecting a 40-point blowout, especially given the fact that the Panthers beat them the last time they played.
No, I give Carolina, all credit in the world. They were in it till like that last possession where, Bryce Young, I don't know what the hell happened. He started running around just throwing the ball all willy-nilly. But overall, Carolina showed up. I think the Rams, have got a lot to fix. I don't know if it's the hand situation because I know it looked like Stafford hit his hand, hurt himself. Because the first half, he was MVP level. Second half, who knows? That could have been Jimmy Garoppolo for all I knew.
Put an old Jimmy G or John Walford.
I don't know who it was, but that offense was discombobulated. They didn't want to run the ball. They felt like they were the Baltimore Ravens and said, forget it. We've got quality running backs. Why would we use them? And just decided to throw the ball all over the place. But they eked out the win. I give them credit.
Yeah, definitely a harsh learning curve for the Panthers. You don't leave that much time on the clock to a former Super Bowl winning coach quarterback combo with 3 timeouts and a 2-minute warning on their side.
No, and not when he's got Puka Nacua on his side. You just don't do it. But you live and you learn. This might be a situation that Carolina takes this lesson and grows from it next year. Who knows? But we're not into next year. We're into this year, and the Rams move on.
Yeah, and we'll deep dive a little bit more on that. But a team we will not be giving a lot of credit to right now is the Chicago Bears. Nothing is going right for the Bears.
Literally, after the first drive, this team has been an absolute mess. I guess Ben Johnson said, you know what? Why should I use my playbook? I'm going to call Dan Campbell and say, you know what? 4th down's the way to go. No sense. No sense. None.
You beat me to the punch on that joke. I was gonna say, is this Ben Johnson or did he was maybe he was the one with the 4th down aggression in Detroit? Maybe it wasn't Dan Campbell all along.
All I know is the Bears start off good, solid drive. Caleb's looking good. He's looking precise. He's hitting his spots. They end up going for 3. Okay, fine, I get it. Here comes Green Bay. They score. I'm like, oh, this is good. This is going to be a shootout. I'm feeling good. We talk to each other. We're like, oh, this is a shootout. Yeah. And the next thing you know, every 4th down, the Bears are like, yeah, we're going for it. It doesn't matter if it's 4th and 2 or 4th and 7. We're throwing it. And it's just a hot mess. Caleb looks confused. It just seems like the Packers are just playing solid ball. They're not doing anything out of the ordinary that we haven't seen from them. It's just that Jordan Love is actually hitting those nice passes that, we expect them to. Though in this game, I'm waiting for the 1 or 2 interceptions where I'm like, oh, there's Jordan Love at his finest. Yeah. Here he is. But for right now, the Packers are on point and the Bears just look confused.
Yeah, and on Caleb Williams, like you said, that first drive really masterful, right down the field. To bat, hard luck having to settle for 3. And since then, I mean, he had that one interception on 4th down where I don't know who he was throwing to, Nobody's open. I mean, DJ Moore's, had a decent half, but aside from that, the LeVar Burton's kind of locked up, and the running game's not really getting going. And like you said, Caleb's either running around confused or he just doesn't have anybody to go to.
It's to the point where if you're looking that deep, you don't have anybody check out or just throw it. Like, there's just no sense. Like, don't throw it. Don't try to make something out of nothing. You're not there yet, okay? You're not some 12-year vet who has that ability to do it. Like, let's just be real. If it's not there, throw it away. Live to play another down. I say this over and over again. And it just seems with Caleb, he wants to force it. And it's not USC, man. It's not going to happen. He's fallen back into these bad habits of his. Yeah, that interception made no sense. But here's one thing about the interception. Yeah, bad throw. It's fourth down, right? Fourth down. Why does the Packers cornerback decide to pick the ball off? They lost there like 20 or 20-something yards on the just let it hit the ground. Go by himself. It falls to him. And, of course, you know how the defense is now. Everyone's got to run to the other end of the end zone and do their thing, which I just ridiculous. Maybe I'm just the old man on the lawn bit, I guess. But I'm sitting there going, yeah, you just cost your team like 20-something yards.
Yeah.
But whatever, man. You do you. But at the end of the day, Caleb's got to figure it out. It's almost like Ben Johnson's got to dummy it down a bit and say, okay, man, let's get a long drive. Let's get something on the board. Because if this continues, this could be the game that we thought the Rams game was going to be. A blowout right off the bat, and not not the nail biter that ended up being.
Yeah. That's a very astute of you, Bucks McGee. I didn't even think of that. Just let it go to the ground, and they would have been taken over at midfield practically.
Yeah, so they probably would have been up, and who knows? I'm just sitting. I'm like, why? I get the excitement. You want to pick it off. I could see picking it off and no one in front of you. Then yeah, you run like hell. But I'm like, no, dude, you just cost them like 20-something yards. But, okay, man, do your Superman on the other side of the field. Whatever, man. Yeah, get off my lawn. Yeah, I said it. I don't care.
Hashtag not my NFL.
Like, it's cool, but there's a point where, like, come on, man, it was fourth down. I'm not doing that. If it was like first down and it's a big, come on, dude. No.
Stat padding in the playoffs. Who would have thought that would be the time to do it?
Seriously, first half of the wild card. Yeah, pack them stats, baby.
Now, I mean, as much as we could dump on Chicago for for technical issues, they've also had a lot of bad luck in this game. We talk about the Caleb interception. There was another third down conversion that led to fourth down where Cole Kmet catches it, seems to make a move up the field. They wind up calling it incomplete. So that would have been a first down. Now it's a fourth down, which gets bad at the line of scrimmage, and yet again another turnover. They also had 2 injuries on defense, one of which sadly he will not return to the game. So that's the Bears have also had a lot of bad luck in this one, in addition to poor execution.
Yeah, but I don't think it's enough to where those things happen. But still, if they played smarter, Caleb plays smarter, I don't think it's a 21-3 game. I think at least they would look better. I think Ben Johnson's made some questionable calls. I understand, maybe you felt this was going to get, Caleb back on track, but you've got to look at the bigger picture, man. Like you said, you've lost a guy to injury. You had the commit issue and all, but still, overall, like, those fourth down calls are just not good. This team is in disarray. Like, slow it down, become a run first team like you did the first half of the season. Remember when they were a run first team and it was like DeAndre Swift was just the guy, and then Caleb was slowly coming about, and next thing you know, Caleb was in the back burner, but you could see the potential and things were coming together. All of a sudden, you just threw him out there, and it's like he's never played before.
Yeah, it's like once a gunslinger head coach gets confident in their quarterback, they just forget that they have a whole diverse offense.
It's it'd be one thing if, like, this was your third or fourth year in a row in the playoffs. Okay, Caleb knows what's going on. This is all kind of new. They're figuring this out. Set them up. Get your 20 scripted plays. Take your time. Let the run game take the lead. And if that's not working, then okay, then do what you got to do. But Caleb's throwing the ball all over the place like it's Madden, man. These people aren't going to morph into, the guys are going to make a one-handed catch and just do his thing. Like the Packers, even though, Mike is not there and stuff like that, they're still a decent defense, and they've got a good offense. You can't sleep on them. We've joked about them because we've thought a lot of times they were pretenders. But this first half, you got to believe in them.
Well, on that point, the Packers, how much credit do you give their defense? Because we had a lot of moments dumping on their defense since Micah Parsons went down to injury in towards the end of the year. So how much credit do you give to their defense for bottling up the Bears here versus this is just the Bears' poor decisions?
If you want me to be honest, I'm going to give you 55-45 the Bears. Because I'll be honest,
I had a feeling.
The fourth down calls aren't the greatest, and Caleb just isn't playing well. But I do give the Packers defense credit. They're playing solid defense. Yeah. They don't have to. It's not like they have to do that much. Caleb is basically giving them the game, but they're not making mistakes. They're doing what they need to do. So I give the Packers credit. They're not playing down to their competition. The Bears are just screwing the pooch.
Bears are the ultimate screw the pooch in this wild card game.
Freaking, it's ridiculous, man. Unbelievable, because I honestly felt the Bears were going to win this game. I felt the Bears had a lot of momentum and stuff like that. Right now, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the second half. This game, it very well could turn around. We've seen these things happen. It's crazy. But right now, there's not much confidence, I don't think, in that stadium for Caleb.
To put a somewhat positive spin on before we move on, Jordan Love, this is his first game back in 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, from a concussion. He looks pretty good. I mean, this is kind of the good Jordan Love that people expect to see, but get rather inconsistent results when the spoon comes to feed.
He's got 3 touchdowns in the first half. It's impressive. He hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't had that moment yet where we're like, Jordan Love. There it is. There it is. There's that throw where he thinks he can and he can't. Maybe, he's finally realized, hey, I've just got to take what the defense gives me. I don't need to be Superman, but when it's time for me to put the cape on, I'll do what I need to do. The Bears are basically handing him this game, but he's made some great throws and he's been on point. So give Jordan Love his flowers. And if this continues through the second half, the Packers could be an interesting team.
And the Bears defense has been giving them a lot. I mean, I was pretty worried heading into this one that the Bears defense would lay an egg. I didn't think it would be quite this bad, but Jordan Love's been able to spread all around. I mean, Dobbs has shown up, Reed's shown up, Watson's shown up. I mean, it's a very diversified offense here, and the Bears defense is front and center, looking like Swiss cheese.
Exactly, their offense is balanced, and that's what it is. It's a balanced offense, and you're not seeing that from the Chicago side, and this is why they're in the hole they're in. The Packers have been able to do a bit of everything. Everyone's touching the ball. There's fluidity in this offense, and that's why they're up 21-3. Plus Caleb's throwing the ball all over the place and the wrong team, but still.
Big shocker, an Amazon primetime game that falls flat. They can't get off this curse.
I remember when Amazon was first getting games and like every game was bad and we were like, good golly, we'd look at the schedule and be like, geez, this is what we've got to watch.
Yeah.
But now it's like I feel bad. It's like I want Amazon to succeed. I want them to have the game, and it's like playoff game, dud.
Dud. So of course the game earlier on this Saturday that was not a dud was the Rams heading into Carolina, and like we said off top of the show, we expected this to be a bit of a dud, and hey, Carolina came to play. It's like they remembered that they beat the Rams before, and they had a little bit of bravado.
that first quarter, you would have thought that was going to be a 50-point drubbing. Like it was.
It's true,
dude. It was like Puka Nacua was everywhere. There was no one else. It was like Matt Stafford and Puka were on the field themselves, just throwing the ball.
Yeah.
No one was around. It was insane. Then all of a sudden, Carolina said, "Okay, we can figure this out," and they did. And like I said, I give Carolina all the credit. They battled, man. They had a chance to win this game. I don't know if Stafford's hand injury, played a hand in how close this game was the second half, because it was a tale of two halves. His first half, he was incredible. The second half, it was horrible. He could barely complete a pass. He was throwing picks. My biggest problem was it's like they didn't want to run the ball.
Yeah.
Like that first series coming out of the half, 3 straight throws, and they were the 3 worst throws I think I've ever seen Matt Stafford throw. And I'm just like, you've got Kyron Williams. You've got some guys who can run the ball. Let's do something here. But, Sean McVay, is the wizard. And, everyone he does get the pass. But there were some times where I'm like, you've got a run game. Like, use it a little more. But they pulled it out in the end.
That was it was a pretty good pun there, Matthew Stafford's hand.
I didn't have that written down or anything, not at all.
Matthew Stafford's hand played a hand. That's what it was.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's just the point where the Rams won't survive in the playoffs if this continues. They just will not.
No, and that's kind of where I wanted to deep dive a little bit more on that, because like you said, even in the beginning when it was a Puka show and Stafford was force feeding it to him, there were also a lot of throws early on. I think Carolina really just took a little while to get going, realizing, oh crap, it's a playoff game, because there were throws early on, even despite the early success, that Matthew Stafford was just missing. He was overthrowing guys, underthrowing guys. He was not sharp. It's just that Carolina kind of took a little while to get going, and then after he got his hand whacked at the line of scrimmage, it just got a little worse and worse. So this is tough, because that last drive, they went right down the field because they had all the time in the world, plus their timeouts and the 2-minute warning, and they really were the Panthers just gave them the middle of the field, and they were advancing on 12-yard Chad Pennington type of throws. So this is I'm sorry, I had to sneak that in there.
Chad Pennington, wow. Go ahead, continue.
But I mean, this sets up quite the potential quandary going forward if the Rams can't advance the ball more on just short yardage with Stafford with his historic cannon.
Yeah, there was that one throw that Puka dropped, which was it was a short touchdown. But yeah, once Stafford hit his hand, and it just it was a tale of two halves. But my bigger problem is you could see on the sidelines, it was like Stafford was telling McVay, "Don't worry about it. I got it." And McVay knew something wasn't right. McVay's got to step up and be like, "Hey, man, you know what? We're going to go run first for a bit. Let's figure out this hand situation because you're not right." It seemed like Stafford was just running the show, and McVay was content with that because he's got his Super Bowl winning quarterback. And I get it. You defer to a point, but that second half, man, they struggled. It was ridiculous. And if it wasn't for some penalties on Carolina and such like that, we're having a whole different conversation.
Yeah, and the struggles, even leading into him and Devontae Adams, just were not on the same page. I mean, they kind of were not. They kind of were not on the same page with Adams in and out of the lineup at the end of the season. But they didn't get really. I mean, he had 70 yards, but it was a tough 70 yards, and there were many throws that were not going their way, and he was getting forced out of bounds a couple times. And this guy was the automatic touchdown for half the season.
The guy's coming back from a hamstring injury. He's not going to be full speed. And there were a couple throws where Stafford overthrew him, misjudged him. If he's coming back from a hamstring, of course the guy's going to tell you he's 100%. Slowly work him in. You've got other guys who stepped in and were able to handle the load. You just can't start bombing it away at Adams and assume he's going to be 100%. It doesn't happen.
See, seems to be a theme here. Veteran players not being honest about their injuries.
Well, and a coach that kind of sat there and let them kind of run the show in a way. That's what it kind of
Yeah.
felt like to me. You know, remember, Sean, like at the end of the day, coaches go before players. Like I'm not saying they're going to fire them, but that's the way it works. So, like if Stafford's hand isn't right, run the ball a little bit more, take some time off the clock. Like you can control this. Your defense was playing decent. I think their defense, even though it wasn't the best, going into the playoffs, they still were a solid unit for the most part. But still, like you got to figure something out because you can't go on in the playoffs like this. You just can't.
I do want to touch on that a bit because, their defense, they made some big plays, but overall they got gashed. Bryce had a very good game. And when Coker and McMillan wanted to get loose and get a big play, they did. So is this a concern now with the defense, which we've been big fans of this season, potentially showing weak spots?
I think when they face an offense with really fast receivers like Carolina has, because Carolina's got great receivers. They've got some great young receivers. I think that gives them problems. Now, it looks like the front, was consistently getting to, Bryce. But still, the way that Canales called that game, it was a lot of quick passes. There were times where Bryce held on to the ball maybe a bit too long, but when their drives were working, he was getting the ball off quick slants, quick misdirection. So I think when they face something like that, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and I mean that could be. I mean, if the home teams hold serve, they're going to be going to Seattle for round 3. That didn't work out too well the last time they played them, and Seattle's got an extremely diversified offense where slants could cause them a problem.
No, it definitely could, and they run the ball. They are a balanced offense. They are what the Rams should be. So the Rams are going to have to figure out, okay, we're going to have to use the run. Is Adams 100%, or he's going to have to be a strictly red zone type of guy? And you're going to have to definitely get the tight ends more involved and use Tutu Atwell and those other guys.
Now, the balance was something that very much bothered you as we were chatting about this game off air. Kyren Williams, all pro running back, little occasional play here and there, not much besides that. And there were even times when Blake Corum, he wasn't exactly super used either, but we saw him a few times more than we were seeing Kyren Williams. So this was kind of like a 70-30 at best pass to run type of offense in this game.
Yeah, it was kind of like I was watching the Ravens. Derrick Henry, where are thou?
Where art thou? Kyren Williams, where art thou?
Yeah, like I don't know. It just the offense didn't seem fluid. It seemed like Sean McVay was hell bent on throwing the ball all over the place, and he felt that was the best way to beat Carolina. I think you could have used both those backs and really grinded it out when you needed to, and I think it would have been better. I don't understand it, but at the end of the day, that run game is going to have to be just as important as the pass for them to move on in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, and there's really no reason to. I mean, you have the talent everywhere. You also got tight end out there, so blocking should never be an issue. I mean, the Rams offense is just loaded. The fact that they can't figure out how to keep a defense off balance is kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, I just don't know if they kind of went into Carolina like, okay, maybe they believe the hype a little bit. Okay, double-digit favorites, and we're just going to come in and kind of do our thing, and they're just going to wilt. And that's not what happened. Carolina put up a hell of a fight. Their defense was solid, a little young and made some mistakes. But I think they'll grow from that. But the Rams survived. That's what a veteran team does. But they need to sit there and say, we got lucky and we go to Seattle. We can't do this.
That's true. And it could be as simple as that. I mean, I thought early on, like, here are the Rams playing with their food because they got out to a hot start. But it could have been just as simple as that. They kind of didn't take the Panthers as seriously as they probably should have.
And it nearly bit them. So lesson learned. And now, you go to Seattle, you better come out fast, and you better when you've got the chance to put your foot on the throat, you better do it.
Yeah, and a hat tip to the Panthers, despite the loss, they did play very spirited. I mean, the run game kind of not really where it needed to be, where it was for most of the season, but they probably didn't even need it. I mean, Bryce Young carved up this defense pretty well. He had a pick early on that kind of hurt, but other than that, he was finding his guys.
No, I give Bryce credit. He played well till last series where, he rolled out, and just was throwing the ball in the dirt. It just, I don't know what happened. I don't know if the Rams tightened up things a bit more on defense, but he seemed kind of confused. But as a whole, he played great. He plays his best when he can get the ball out of his hands quick. When he's decisive, he can throw those slants and, get the ball to his guys. He's got really fast receivers. That offense is really good, and they're going to get better, especially with Dave Canales being the play caller. So their future's bright. It's just they will go as far as Bryce can grow and take them.
Yeah, that last drive, I'll give them a little bit of a pass because the Rams only gave them about 30 seconds left in the game, and they brought the house on every single play. It was blitz city, and the Panthers' offensive line, I guess, still has some growing pains. They couldn't hold up. So I'll give them a little bit of a pass on that one, but where I can't give them a pass, and where I'm a little bit surprised with Dave Canales' abilities as a play caller, I'm a little surprised they went down the field and scored so fast on the then go ahead score, because you can't leave, even with Stafford having the game he did and with the injured hand and whatnot. You can't give Matthew Stafford that much time with all his timeouts.
I guess they felt that their defense was up to the challenge. I guess the way that the game was going, they felt that, okay, if we score, we can stop them.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you thought about it and you play it back, you could say, okay, they scored. The way the Rams are going, who knows what would have happened? They were so inconsistent the second half that this defense could probably stop them. So that was probably Canales' thought process. Sitting back, he'll probably say, now, you know what? Let's slow it down a bit. Even though Stafford wasn't 100%, it's still Matt Stafford. It's still the Rams. We need to limit their time on the field, but. I guess you take the score when you can get it, especially when it's the Rams.
And with their having confidence in that defense, and you kind of hinted on this a bit ago, I was pretty impressed by the secondary. I mean, everyone kind of knows what J.C. Horn's all about, but even Mike Jackson. I mean, Fox was constantly saying his name, back and forth. The Greg Olsen B team. So that's two shutdown corners the Panthers had, and that secondary, I think, was definitely the star of the defense in this one, despite the loss again.
Oh, definitely. Mike Jackson played a great game, except for the penalty in the second half on the helmet to helmet. Besides that, he was physical, and that's how you got to be with the receivers there with the Rams. You've got to be physical, you got to be smart, but you definitely got to be physical with them. But no, that secondary played great overall. That defense is young, they're solid, and they're going to get better if they can develop, and they can just grow from what they learned from today. They're going to be a team to really deal with.
Yeah, and since you brought it up, I did have a little bit of a problem with that flag because I kind of felt that it's a very momentum type of hit. I mean, I guess on one hand, if it's close, they're going to throw the flag, but to me, I didn't find that to be any kind of intentional helmet leading tackle. That was kind of a bad penalty in my opinion.
The way the league is now, man, if the helmet to helmet, they're going to call that regardless. It's just the way it is, man. Concussions and such. Like if it was a less grazing blow, they might have let it go, but he hit him hard enough where, Adam's lip was split and he's spitting out blood. They're calling that. That's just the way the league is. So you just, quarterbacks and such, you got to watch. If you're going to lead with the shoulder. If it looks like you're leading with the head and that head makes contact, they're throwing that flag.
Yeah. Well, we tip our caps to the Panthers. Valiant effort despite the loss, and the Rams figure some stuff out because it's only going to get harder from here. I don't think you're going to get away with this one twice.
No, not at all. If they go to Seattle, it's a home game. We don't know hopefully Seattle's going to be, a little raucous
true.
crowd, and we know how Seattle's played at home. But yeah, you bring that to Seattle, you're not coming. I don't think you're coming out a winner.
Programming note: 2 games per show for the rest of the wild card weekend. We will be live 7:00 ish to react to Bills, Jags, and Niners, Eagles, and we'll talk about the Patriots and the Chargers before the Monday night game. Aaron Rodgers hosting a playoff game against the Texans. Buccs McGee, wild card weekend's here, sir. Take us off air.
It's kind of sad, man. It's like, it's playoff football. It's great. Regular season's over. Kind of hurts, We're hitting that home stretch, but the Rams survive. Like we said, Carolina, respect, and they're probably going to be a team to deal with in the future. Tomorrow's games hopefully will be as eventful as that game. We'll see what happens, but it's playoff football. Let's get excited.